Hey there, good evening, and welcome to the Bronx Buzz. This is Bronx Night's program where we talk to reporters and journalists and writers and editors. And then we also talk to other people who are putting stuff out in the Bronx. And in our second segment, we have one of I think he's one of the best performers in the Bronx going right now. Some people know him, some people don't. You'll see that in a moment. Right now, we're going to be serious with Robbie Sequeira from the Bronx Times. Robbie, it's been a while. Nice to have you with us.
I'm always glad to be here, Gary. We talk about the Bronx as always.
And you know what is the truth, and I'll tell people the reason is because he's just so busy and he's always writing about the Bronx, and
Sure.
he's got I don't know I was counting how many articles in each paper. He's just cranking it out, and you're just really one of the best reporters we have going for us, and we appreciate it. Let's just start about this. To me, you broke the story. I didn't see it anywhere else. That Montefiore Medical Center is moving a facility from the Grand Concourse to Fordham Plaza. What's the story? I mean, you wrote about it twice. What's going on?
So what's going on is in July, we had found out that Montefiore administration had detailed plans to move its Grand Concourse family clinic to One Fordham Plaza, this building that they occupy currently. Their plan is to consolidate the services there. They say it's due to there's issues with the existing landlord. So that's been an issue in terms of just lease issues. But also, there's also been kind of concerns about aging infrastructure. Now, one of the big issues is that talking to providers in the area and also certain patients, they didn't know about it. They had no
Hmm.
clue that the clinic was not going to be there. It was planned. There's plans for the fall relocation of those services. And Montefiore has, hey, we're going to have a shuttle bus here, but people said that they were blindsided by it, which really kind of fundamentally kind of underscores the issue of,
What services could be affected? I mean, are these fundamental kind of daily care, healthcare services, or are these specialty services that are now going to be moved, or
these
both?
are yeah, these are it's a family practice. So really there's a lot of, day-to-day care. There's a lot of care for, kids and children in the area. This is also
Basic family, in
basic
many
family
cases,
needs.
preventative care,
Yeah.
vaccinations. The kid comes home with a cold, stopping infection from spreading into school. I mean, an ear infection. There's all the very fundamental things that people get to keep them healthy and productive.
And one thing that we, at least, for me, interviewing a lot of people in that area was that, this is actually routine. Like, if you know how far you have to go to your next clinic, that probably helps out with a lot of emergencies. And people said, hey, it's like, I'm kind of losing a routine. I have to go, 15 or 20 more minutes out of my way if something happens, right? Or some people who have daily appointments there need to go all the way to Fordham Plaza. And as we know, Fordham Plaza is a very, lively strip all the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, but good luck getting there from the Grand Concourse.
yeah.
There's no way to do it if you're driving. You can walk. Of course,
Mhm.
then if you go in the other direction, you got to walk up the hill, and that takes a little while. If you're taking a bus, pack a lunch. I mean,
Yeah.
and Montefiore's thing is that this is kind of necessary for, the scope of what they do. I mean, was there a reaction or a thought that maybe, gee whiz, we are going to take our services out of convenience for some people?
Yeah, so there's two schools of thoughts. I will say that one is that Montefiore said that they don't anticipate major issues in servicing their patient database, I should say. But then there's kind of another side of providers who are telling me that they feel like this is kind of an escalation of moves. There was a recent job posting, and it's linked into our articles where they had licensed a space in Hudson Yards, which gets people kind of thinking, all right,
Wow.
yeah,
But
that's a very significantly richer clientele than
wow.
areas in the Bronx. So there's a lot of kind of moves that I don't think people really are knowing what's going on. And that's kind of the big thing for a lot of patients. They don't know what's going on. They don't know,
No, you
yeah.
didn't mention in the article. I will mention it's interesting that both the former borough president Ruben Diaz Jr. and
Mhm.
Marcos Crespo, who was the head of the Democratic Party and actually left his assembly seat to take that, a big administrative, strategic kind of jobs at Montefiore Medical Center, are there. Would be interesting to hear what their thoughts were, or if they were involved in this discussion. Maybe and I'm not going to prejudge it. I'm just going to say that you did a really good job
Appreciate it.
in covering it. Yeah, and I would not have heard about it. What's the timing on it right now? Do we
So the
know?
timing is, I have reached out multiple times for Montefiore, so as Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez has
Yes,
reached
that's
out to find
correct.
out concrete plans about when exactly this is going to happen, how are they going to make up for gaps in services. I have not so far received anything in concrete in terms of a timeline, and I'm pretty sure that would probably extend to the representative as well as the people who are wondering what's happening in their clinic. So when we find that information out, that will probably be the next, I think, benchmark in this story to
Yeah.
find out, okay, what's exactly going on.
bxtimes.com is the way to figure it out,
Yes.
and it'll be right up there. Listen, let's face it, this is the largest health organization in the largest industry in the Bronx, which
Yeah.
is, of course, healthcare. So let's move on to the next thing. You also wrote a story which, for me, was very eye opening, and that was the Hunts Point market is getting some redevelopment. Again, the largest. We always seem to have the largest. This is the largest food market, fresh food market in the country, and it's right here in our backyard. But there are so many issues. There's infrastructure issues, of course. There's economic issues. There are environmental issues. So, what really is going on right now with this Hunts Point redevelopment? What's going to happen? And are we all hopeful that it will help us all do better?
So yeah, the Hunts Point market kind of has a lot of things around it. The community of Hunts Point itself has really high poverty rates, really high food insecurity rates, really high rates of disease and death. Now this market itself is a huge producer, and so there was a lot of support, really bipartisan support. If you look at the infrastructure package that was signed by Joe Biden in November, which has $10 million secured for the redevelopment of this market. And so really the hope is, for them is that they want to basically, redevelop this market to be able to kind of be more sustainable because they have some environmental challenges as well. There was a climate resiliency study in 2017,
Yep.
which talked about kind of the critical infrastructure site, which is 355 Food Center Drive, 400 Food
Right.
Center Drive, and 600 Food Center Drive. They faced a lot of kind of climate vulnerability, and it was by 250 or 2050, they could see like 1 or 3 levels of sea rise. So they were kind of having their own issues, kind of looking at kind of what Hunts Point is kind of dealing with.
So who is doing this redevelopment? And where is the money coming from? Is this going to
Yep.
be private money, or is it going to
Federal
be?
funds. Yep.
It's going to
Federal
be
funds.
federal funds, a part of maybe the infrastructure package that
Yes.
came, through COVID and then
Mhm.
succeedingly. And again, we're going to stick it to you. What's the timing? Are we there yet, or like are they cutting ribbons yet, or where are we at?
From what I understand, is that it's everything is kind of, we're at the stage where okay, funding has now been granted, and the next step is probably going to be the design phase. I imagine, reaching out to Hunts Points, market folks.
Right.
Everything now is, I believe, now taking it from funding to now actualities. They said that by the end of this will be able to keep and grow about 2,000 quality jobs,
We
which
like
in an
that.
area that could use that level of employment is pretty
Yep.
good. And so, the next steps that we
I,
want to
but
find out,
I have to add in to
yeah,
that, as long as the jobs stay local.
yes, yes, and they
Not,
have a,
this is not the first time we've had this conversation.
so yeah, that's the hope is that this, I believe will get done, over the next couple of years. I obviously, want to reach out again to Hunts Point to figure out, okay,
Yeah.
when we get a design, when we get, what this redevelopment will look like, that's probably the next stage is,
All right.
okay,
I,
who is going to design it? Who's going to do the redevelopment aspect of that, RFPs and all
you're
that
you're
fun
gonna
jazz.
you're gonna be a guy. Listen, I'm just moving it along because we don't want to run out of time. You're gonna be a guy who's gonna be able to ask the question. Gary wants to know transportation in and out of the market. Are we still killing Bronx lungs with the trucks that go in? I mean, how many hundreds of trucks go in every day and out every day? Can we deal with some of that traffic infrastructure? It's been a dialogue for many, many years. And then what I'm really interested in is the fact that we have food insecurity right next door to the largest food market in the world. And maybe we could really work that transportation to work to
Yeah.
get food into our delis and our supermarkets, healthy food into our farmers markets. So if it comes up, Gary wanted to know. Just ask. Anyway, last thing I want to get to is this was they're all fascinating stories that you write about. Bronx tenants least likely to recommend or approve their apartment buildings. No surprise to many people in the Bronx. They were very concerned, as you can see at the photo in your story about rodents. What is this? This was a survey, and Bronx people said, compared to the other boroughs, our buildings. I don't want to use the S word, suck. They're no good. I mean,
So
where are
yeah.
we at?
So yeah, the folks at Open Igloo, they're a renter, support app. You can do a bunch of stuff there, renter applications, and you can file comments and reviews. And what they really do is they try to aggregate kind of what is the mood like for people who are renting. And in the Bronx, the overall satisfaction rate for buildings is about 50%. In the Bronx, it's
Did you
30%.
say 50%
50%.
citywide?
Yeah, citywide 50%, 30% for Bronxites, which is lowest. A lot of the issues are rats, rat infestations. A lot of people said there's issues with repairs. A story we
I'm
did
sure.
a while back ago said that there was about I don't want to get the percent wrong. I wrote the story, which is embarrassing, but
That's
there was
right.
a high amount of people who are dealing with 3 or more delinquencies in their apartment. And we just kind of did an issue on Chestnut Holding about kind of lack of issues with follow-up from landlords. So those are kind of
Right.
two.
Were NYCHA buildings included in that?
They were not included. So
They
NYCHA
were
was not
not
included.
included. See, that's instructive. That's an
Yeah.
important point. But again, what comes through from what you're saying is the relationship with the landlords and the landlords, the oversight of the landlords to take care of their buildings. Tremendous dissatisfaction in the Bronx. I mean, I've been through in every neighborhood probably, and you can just see it. You say, well, wait a minute, this is just not right. Well, listen, Robbie. Last question. Anything in the hopper that we can drop a little secret about?
So I will say that there is a couple of stories. One I want to say Aaliyah Schneider. I'll give her flowers for amazing reporting on the Bruckner.
Yes, the Bruckner rezoning.
Yeah, she did
Yeah,
amazing work, and I will say
and
that
that's not ending yet. She's going to keep.
she's going to
Like,
continue
we'll
that.
give her a full-time job doing that.
She's great.
Yeah.
And there's also really what's come down the pipeline is kind of a story that I'm working on, which involves Bronx and the migrants who have come to New York City
Oh,
seeking asylum. And there is some really
good
in some
luck.
corners. I just want to tease in some corners of the Bronx, there are people who are really doing some cool stuff, which is such as
Cool.
opening their homes and providing food.
Yes. I've seen that in a couple of places. That's wonderful. Listen, Robbie, we got to run. You are the best.
Pleasure.
You know how I feel. Also, we need about a 4-hour show for you and me to really knock it out and get to all the issues that we want to talk about. But thank you for everything you do in the Bronx. The bxtimes.com, or you can get the newspaper, the Bronx Times. Robbie Sequeira.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure
Thank you.
always.
All right, we're going to take a short break. One of the best, wait till you see one of the best performers in the BX coming up after this. Don't go away.